Okay, folks, so this video we are going to focus on Laura. Well, not necessarily Laura herself, but really an evaluation of the Payne family as a whole. Now, we're talking about her grievances towards the Payne. Now, to be completely honest here, I want to focus on the more legitimate gripes that she has, not necessarily the whole cell phone thing or um, being told to take her narrow behind out of her house until Ella's house until she learns respect. I'm really talking about things such as Ella not spending time with her, Miranda being a constant presence, not feeling like she ever got a fair shake to be a part of the family, and Calvin not defending her or protecting her. Those are the highlights I want to talk about. And when you really think about it, there are maybe three characters specifically that I feel need to be, closely examined. Those characters being Ella, who low key is the villain, Calvin, Miranda, and to an extent, Laura herself. Now, let's start with Laura real quick because, like I said, this really isn't about her, but really the Payne family as a whole. Now, a lot of fans want to say, hey, look. Laura is at fault here because if she had any sense of dignity, she would have left Calvin permanently after finding out, oh my goodness, I've been dating the man who is the soon to be ex-husband of my good friend and co-worker Miranda, who I had no idea. Which is funny because some fans are like, these are grown adults. And up until the end of her divorce, Miranda was going by the name Miranda Payne. And she's dating Calvin Payne. So it's like, wait, what? I don't know. Maybe at the time Miranda wasn't going by the last name. Who knows? And keep in mind, we don't know exactly how long these two have been working together. We just know that anything Miranda said about Calvin was bad. So we can assume this was during the lengthy divorce process, as opposed to when they were actually still together, not separated and working on the divorce. So maybe by that time, Miranda was going by her maiden name. That's just an assumption. I don't know. But the thing is, Laura made it clear she did love Calvin, so she opted to get back together with him. Now, my personal thing is, as opposed to the whole Miranda friend factor, Laura should have thought harder about what it means to be married to a man with children. That's the main thing. There's a lot of baggage that comes with that. I don't think she fully weighed the options, and as a lot of fans speculated, perhaps she didn't consider Calvin to be as present a father as he is in Junior and Christian's lives. And as a result, there's always the balance of, oh, well, Calvin and I can't always do the things we plan because something may come up with the kids or something like that. But when we look at the other three characters to examine here, Calvin, Miranda, and Ella, Curtis is really a non-factor because he's just like, Curtis goes with the flow, so to speak. He treats everybody the same. And hey, once you get to know him, he is a lovable dude, but he has a rough and tough exterior, but a heart of gold underneath all that. But I really want to focus on the characters who really are the focal point of Laura's feelings about the family. Calvin not defending her because of the lack of boundaries. And I think, yes, Calvin is her fiance. Yes, Calvin is the one introducing Laura into the family. But at the same time, I can't sit up here and act like this is completely Calvin's fault, because looking at the earlier seasons of the revival, Ella didn't really give Laura that much of a chance. Yes, she was open to Laura being in the home. There were times where it was dinner with Calvin, Laura, Curtis, and Ella, but Miranda would pop up. There was the family game night episode. Everybody was there, except for Miranda, who popped up with some banana pudding randomly and was shocked that it's like, oh, I didn't know we were having family game night, because she wasn't invited. And then she just self-intruded on the event and made things incredibly awkward when I think she was playing either charades or a trivia game and was bringing up all sorts of fun romantic moments with Calvin to make him think about the old times, making Laura completely uncomfortable. And Ella refused to let her leave. So to me, Ella, there were so many times during the first couple seasons of the revival where Cal, even before Laura came into the series, he made it clear that he did not like the fact that Miranda was a constant presence. Ella's thing was, hey, I'm the mother and she's the mother of my grandchild and she will always be welcome. It's just, she never considered Calvin's feelings at all. At all. And to me, that did not give her a good reputation with me. Now, this wasn't as bad as the way she's acting now, but looking back at those older episodes, it was really foreshadowing. And I mean, it was really telling because of the one episode where Miranda came by the house saying, I want him back. And then Ella was like, well, you have to tell him. I did, Miss Ella. Well, just tell him again, and again until he listens to you. Basically, she's been Miranda's biggest enabler this whole time. It really reminds me of how when Janine was going through it as an addict, and CJ rightfully didn't want to have anything to do with her. But Ella was the one constantly pushing her to get help and go to rehab. But up until the point where Janine and the other addicts robbed Ella, that's when she got pissed off. And then Janine got her act together. Now, granted, things did work out in the end, but it's one of those, Ella's going to do what Ella's going to do regardless of the feelings that anyone else has about it. And it's just one of those things where you look at her because is she doing it because it's the Christian thing to do, or is she doing it because it's the Ella thing to do? Because of the fact that even though her blood relative, her relative by marriage, CJ, or nephew CJ, didn't want Janine around. And for good reason. An addict burnt down the family house, literally put the family in a bad spot. And then Ella is giving her an olive branch and allowing her to stay in the house. Nah, that's messed up. But that's the way she operates. Essentially, despite having a good heart, you cannot deny that Ella does cross boundaries. That she reminds me of the movie Deliver Us from Eva. Pretty much like that. Now, Calvin stated multiple times, Mama, and then he's like, no, mother of my grandchild. No one is denying that Miranda will always have a tether to the family because of Christian, but there are way too many boundaries she crosses. From just popping up, it's like, where is your family at? Don't you have any life outside of work and the Paynes? Like, you showing up to like do a Christian drop off, or if there's a family event where Christians involved, like a birthday party, that is completely fine. But for you to constantly pop over like you're still the daughter-in-law, even after the son and you got a divorce because you left him. I mean, I ain't gonna hold you. If I were Calvin, I wouldn't, me and my mom would have beef, because it's like, look, she left me, Ma, and yet you're treating her with more respect and love than your own son. And she left me. What's up with that? It's crazy, because this woman was literally stalking Calvin all the time in those earlier seasons, like going over to CJ and Janine's, hoping Calvin would come by, then going over to Curtis and Ella's. And I just feel like there were so many times where she might have seen Calvin's car out there and she would purposely come up with some BS excuse. Oh, Miss Ella, here's that dish you let me borrow, or here's this pen or something. Hey, Calvin, what you doing? It was insufferable. And it got to the point where, Miranda, you're a grown woman. Your ex-husband is engaged now. And yet you would still look for any petty reason to pop on over at the condo unannounced without knocking. And then excuses to like crap on Laura. Like, I remember the episode where these two were planning their wedding and honeymoon and stuff. And Laura wanted all this expensive stuff. And then out of nowhere, Miranda's like, I need more child support. Wait, what? Or the episode where Laura bought the jersey and Miranda's like, oh, this guy was, accused of domestic violence or whatever, and I don't want my son with this jersey. And, she literally just went in on Laura. And she is, I think, the worst one Calvin asked Miranda, hey, I was hoping Christian could be in the wedding as one of the groomsmen. And Miranda just like, no, our son is not going to be a part of that wedding, nor is he going. He's my son too. And then I think Ella was the one that had to talk her off the ledge here because, well, I don't want him to be confused. And it's like, no, you're just in your feelings because I'm moving on and you don't want our son in part of it because you just want to, get at me by not making sure our son isn't a part of my big day. That's it. Miranda is a mess. And to think that, imagine, we know how Tracy was in the original series, but somebody on Facebook said it best. They're like, look, it's crazy how Ella gives Miranda all these passes considering she robbed the family. She caused a lot of trouble. She was indirectly the reason why Calvin got shot, but yet she got so much grace and whatnot. And heck, even Janine, let's not even go into that. As I mentioned earlier, it's like Ella has grace for Miranda and Janine. And really the only bad thing Tracy did was when she went off at the hospital or whatever. And after that, that was it. And she pretty much kept her distance from the family. But when it comes down to, former exes, because CJ and Janine got a divorce. Calvin and Miranda got a divorce. But then Ella just still treats them like daughters, which, hey, is loving in one way. But I think I feel some kind of way. If I were CJ and Calvin, I'd be in my feelings too. Like, dang, mama, or dang, Auntie Ella, you want to do us like that? So when it comes down to it, Miranda not knowing boundaries, like, the episode involving the key, like the spare key, which, hey, it's cool to have that access because you and Calvin have this cool co-parenting thing. But given that he's about to be married, if I was the fiance in that position, I'd feel some kind of way about the ex. Like, look, having a spare key is one thing. But abusing that privilege, not a right, a privilege. And before people come at me, in case you've forgotten, it was mentioned, Calvin got the condo in the divorce. Yes, Miranda was the one that got it, but after the divorce, it was Calvin's. So none of that, oh, she should have a key because it's hers. No, it is Calvin's condo. Say it with me now, CC, Calvin's condo. Trying to justify like, well, if my child is here, I need to have 24-hour access. No. And Laura's like, no, because if Christian or Junior are here at the condo, at least one of us will be here at all times. And if we need you, we will call you. Or if anything happens, we will call you. And we will happily open the door. But yeah, Miranda would constantly abuse that. Just knock, just come in there. Just doesn't matter. Just burst in there. And it was ridiculous. So I think Miranda, just like she would abuse the spare key to the condo, I think low key she would abuse Ella's kindness. Because I think Ella is too sweet to say no to her, but at the same time, Miranda would abuse that kindness. Hey, Calvin lets me have the spare key. I want to come over whenever I want. Unannounced, not knocking. Oh, Auntie Ella, Miss Ella allows me to come over to the house because I'm Christian's mother. I want to keep coming over and be intrusive, trying to find out what Calvin is up to. Or if he's over there with Laura, I want to bring my date over there too to introduce him. Why? Because you just want to stick it to Calvin or try to get back with him or make Laura feel as uncomfortable as possible because she's your ex-friend. No. And then when it comes to Calvin himself, like I said, his biggest mistake was staying aloof, not establishing boundaries. Because I understand the debate about choosing, your partner, spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, fiance over your family. But at the same time, it's like, if my mother wouldn't respect my wishes or understand my feelings, like, look, yes, Miranda is my ex-wife and mother of my child and your grandchild. But mama, I'm about to get married again. And it is not a good look to have you always spending time with my ex-wife, but you've never even spent one-on-one time with my future wife. Do you understand how that feels? And yes, despite being the mother of your grandchild, I'm not saying Miranda has to be banished forever, but you have to set some ground rules here. This is your house. This is you and Pop's house, yeah. But for you to undermine my future wife, you're disrespecting her and you're disrespecting me. But hey, that conversation is never going to happen. So I think that when you look at Laura's grievances, they are legit, but I don't think there's one person to blame directly. It's just that obviously Ellis admitted she doesn't like Laura, never has. There's something about her. But regardless of that, not respecting your son's future future wife because you favor his ex, that's ridiculous. So with that being said, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll talk to you in the next video.